They told you to be kind, to be patient, to play fair, yet you watched lesser minds rise above you. Niceness is a weapon only when you control its edge. This video will show you what happens when you stop seeking approval and start playing the game of power the way it's meant to be played. Ruthlessly, intelligently, and without apology. In the theater of human nature, masks are currency. The smiling face is not a virtue, it's a tool. The world does not reward goodness, it rewards utility. Those who confuse kindness with strategy become pawns in a game designed by sharper minds. To survive, and more importantly, to rule, you must learn to wield charm as a blade, not as a shield. Today, we open Machiavelli's Playbook, not to destroy morality, but to expose the truth behind it. The truth that power bows not to kindness, but to calculation. They taught you to be nice, to smile, to be agreeable, and for a while it worked. People liked you. But they didn't respect you. There is a brutal truth few are willing to admit. Niceness, when unguarded, invites exploitation. It signals softness to wolves disguised as friends. It tells the ambitious exactly where to strike. Have you ever wondered why the most polite people are often the most ignored? Because in the hierarchy of power, kindness without intent has no value. It is generosity without teeth, warmth without fire. In human affairs, virtue has never been rewarded for its purity, only for its utility. A ruler who is merciful because it serves order is wise. A ruler who is merciful because he cannot bear cruelty is doomed. And this same principle governs your modern life, your relationships, your work, your reputation. Niceness by itself is not a virtue. It is a tool, and like any tool, its worth depends on the hands that wield it. Think of César Borgia, feared by all, loved by none, and yet obeyed by everyone. He could smile as he executed a traitor, and the smile itself became a warning. He understood what most do not, that charm is a disguise, not a declaration. His politeness concealed a blade sharper than any sword, the power of intent. Do you understand the weight of that? It means your smile should never be free. Your kindness should never be automatic. Every gesture must carry strategy. When you are generous, ask, what will this yield? When you are patient, ask, whose loyalty am I buying? When you forgive, ask, what image am I crafting in their mind? Because the truth is, people are not inspired by your kindness. They are moved by what it gets them. Your goodness only matters when it serves their interest. And that is why power requires understanding human psychology, not worshipping human morality. Look at history. The Roman Senate praised virtue, yet betrayed Julius Caesar in the name of honor. Why? Because even morality bends before fear and advantage. The illusion of virtue has always been the finest camouflage for ambition. And so, the truly strategic mind learns to weaponize niceness. How? By making kindness conditional. By giving not from the heart, but from calculation. You smile to lower defenses. You praise to plant loyalty. You yield to learn. You concede to control. Every act of pleasantness is a move in a psychological war where perception is the battlefield. Modern society teaches you to equate kindness with goodness. But the strategist understands that kindness is simply behavioral currency. It buys trust, it buys time, and it buys silence. Imagine you're in a meeting. You compliment your rival's ideas. You nod, you listen, you agree, until he begins to trust you. And in that moment, his guard lowers. He reveals his weaknesses, his insecurities, his motives. You've done nothing hostile. You've simply made him comfortable. But comfort, in the wrong hands, is a weapon. Now, this does not mean cruelty is strength. Cruelty is blunt, wasteful, and leaves scars that draw attention. Strategic kindness, however, infiltrates quietly. It wraps manipulation in velvet. It allows you to dominate without appearing to. Ask yourself, what image do you project when you are nice? Do you appear harmless, forgettable, replaceable? Or do you appear composed, deliberate, and in control of your warmth? Because power is not just what you hold. It's what others believe you hold. And perception is built through performance. Every gesture, every smile, every silence becomes part of your strategy. The weak are kind to be liked. The strong are kind to be obeyed. That is the distinction. In every interaction, Decide, am I offering kindness to gain peace or to gain position? If it is peace, you will lose both. If it is position, you will gain power disguised as grace. Remember, strategy is not the absence of humanity. It is the mastery of it. To weaponize niceness is to understand the dual nature of the human mind. Its hunger for validation, its fear of rejection, its craving for approval. When you control those instincts in others, you control the rhythm of the entire game. So stop being predictably kind. Be selectively kind. Make every act of warmth a calculation. Make every smile an investment. Because the one who learns to control kindness soon learns to control everything it touches. You believe people follow goodness, but they don't. They follow the appearance of it. Virtue, in the eyes of the masses, is not measured by truth. It's measured by theater. And in the theater of power, appearance will always eclipse authenticity. Ask yourself this: do you respect the honest man who speaks unpleasant truths, or the charming liar who makes you feel understood? Most will choose the latter, because human beings crave comfort, not clarity. They follow what feels moral, not what is moral. This is why the great manipulators never needed to be good. They only needed to appear good. Their power did not come from purity, but from performance. In Florence, there were men who ruled by deception yet were celebrated as saints. Why? Because they mastered the optics of virtue. They understood the secret psychology that governs perception. People do not see your intentions. They see the image you craft. And that image, once believed, becomes more powerful than truth itself. So let's ask the uncomfortable question: how much of your morality is real, and how much is presentation? How often do you act out of conviction, and how often out of fear of judgment? Because if your virtue depends on witnesses, it is not virtue. It is strategy executed unconsciously. The strategic mind simply learns to consciously control this illusion. Consider the rulers of empires. They spoke of justice while plotting conquest. They preached morality while ordering deceit. But to the public, they were noble. Their words glowed brighter than their actions. This is not hypocrisy. It is psychological warfare. Human beings judge by patterns, not evidence. They create stories in their minds to simplify chaos. If your behavior fits the story of virtue, they will protect that story. Even when confronted with proof of the opposite, look around. Modern politics, corporate hierarchies, social movements. The same law applies. The first to appear righteous becomes untouchable, even when corrupt. The first to appear selfish becomes condemned, even when honest. And so the strategist learns to weaponize morality itself. You do not need to be the good person. You need to be seen as one. The difference is the foundation of influence. Smile when others are angry. Speak calmly when they are emotional. Offer empathy when they expect resistance. Each act plants an image composed, trustworthy, moral. Even if beneath that calm your mind calculates every move. That image is your armor, and in a world addicted to perception, armor is everything. You see, humans want moral order because it simplifies judgment. They want to believe the good prevail and the evil fall. It comforts them in a chaotic world. So when you present the mask of virtue, they will protect it for their own psychological stability. And that is your leverage. You can hide ruthless ambition behind sincerity. You can cloak manipulation beneath words of compassion. And no one will look twice, because they need to believe in your goodness to preserve their illusion of justice. This is why reputation must be guarded more fiercely than truth. Truth changes hands, but reputation shapes destiny. Destroy a man's reputation, and you kill him before a sword ever touches his flesh. But here lies the danger. If you become consumed by your mask, you lose the control that gave it power. The moment you start believing your own illusion, you become its prisoner. You cease to be the actor and become the audience. Therefore, maintain distance. Observe yourself as if you were watching a character on stage. Let others see your virtue, but never let yourself be blinded by it. Control your image as a craftsman controls his tools, precise, detached, deliberate. In this world, purity is not survival. Perception is. The man who understands that can make any weakness appear noble, any deceit appear wise. You can be feared yet loved, manipulative yet respected, all through the careful design of moral perception. Because when people believe you are righteous, they grant you permission to act without question. And that is the highest form of power, obedience disguised as admiration. So ask yourself now, do you want to be good? Or do you want to rule the ones who think you are? There is no greater weakness than the inability to separate feeling from decision. And yet, most people live as prisoners of their emotions, reacting, overthinking, defending, and destroying themselves in the process. You've seen it. Someone insults them, and they burn bridges. Someone ignores them, and they beg for validation. Someone betrays them, and they vow revenge. Emotion drives their every move, while reason silently drowns beneath the surface. But tell me, how can a man rule others if he cannot rule himself? The strategist knows emotion is not to be eliminated. It is to be controlled. It is the raw material of influence. When mastered, it becomes a weapon sharper than any sword. When ungoverned, it becomes a leash tied to your own destruction. To detach is not to feel nothing. It is to feel everything, and still act from clarity. History remembers many who rose and fell by emotion. Alexander, brilliant yet impulsive, wept when he had no worlds left to conquer. Julius Caesar, betrayed not by his enemies' blades, but by his affection for Brutus. Napoleon, undone not by armies, but by pride. They were extraordinary, yet even they learned that victory does not belong to the passionate, it belongs to the composed. Detachment is not apathy. It is power in its purest forms, the ability to decide without disturbance. Think about your own life. How many times have you lost control because of someone else's actions? How often have you reacted too soon, spoken too much, or cared too deeply, only to regret it later? You felt righteous in the moment, didn't you? But righteousness without restraint is self-sabotage. Emotion convinces you that reaction equals strength. In truth, reaction is the mark of the manipulated. Every manipulator knows this. They don't need to overpower you. They only need to make you feel anger, guilt, desire, fear. Once you feel, you obey. That is why detachment is dangerous. It denies them control. The detached mind cannot be baited. It observes insult and silence alike with the same steady gaze. It allows chaos to unfold without losing its axis. The master of detachment plays emotion like a musician plays an instrument. He can mirror empathy to disarm, express outrage to intimidate, or display serenity to confuse. But beneath every performance lies stillness. He chooses when to feel and when to appear as if he does. This is why kings and leaders must learn the art of masks. To show pain is to reveal weakness. To show affection is to reveal leverage. To show anger is to reveal your limits. Control what others see, and you control how they act toward you. Detachment gives you this invisibility. It turns you into a mirror, reflecting emotion without absorbing it. And the world, desperate for reaction, becomes unsettled by your calm. Try it. In an argument, say nothing. In betrayal, show no outrage. In victory, show no arrogance. Watch how others crumble under the weight of your silence. They expect fire, but you give them ice. And nothing disarms a manipulator faster than serenity they cannot break. But make no mistake, detachment is not coldness without purpose. It is deliberate distance. It allows you to think while others drown in impulse, to calculate when others confess, to strike when others hesitate. You must train it like a soldier trains discipline. Observe your emotions as they rise. Name them, but do not feed them. Ask, does this feeling serve me or expose me? If it exposes you, contain it. If it serves you, direct it. Even kindness, when detached, becomes precise. You give not because you are moved, but because it moves the game forward. Even love, when detached, becomes strategic. You choose who to care for and when, not because your heart demands it, but because your mind commands it. This is the paradox to lead. You must appear deeply human while being governed by something colder than humanity. The balance between seeming emotional and being emotionally controlled is the essence of Machiavellian mastery. The fool thinks calmness is weakness, but calmness is the shield of power. When everyone else bleeds through their reactions, you remain untouchable. Remember this: the one who controls emotion controls perception, and the one who controls perception controls the outcome. So when you feel anger rising, when you sense betrayal burning in your chest, pause. Do nothing, because in that moment, you are either becoming your own ruler or your enemy's pawn. Detachment is not the absence of heart. It is the elevation of will. It is not the rejection of feeling, but the command of it. And once you learn to command your emotions, you will command everyone else's. Power is rarely taken by force. More often, it is granted by those who never realize what they've given away. Every favor, every act of kindness, every promise of help carries a hidden currency. The weak give to feel good. The strong give to create debt. And in the art of power, debt is gold. You've been taught to give selflessly, to help without expecting return. But tell me, has that ever protected you from betrayal? Has your generosity ever stopped the ungrateful from taking more? The world does not remember the giver. It remembers the one who made giving costly. To understand power, you must understand reciprocity. The psychology of exchange governs every human bond, from the poorest merchant to the richest king. It is the invisible contract that controls loyalty, influence, and submission. When you give strategically, you are not offering charity. You are creating leverage, a chain invisible to the eye but heavy to the conscience. Look at the great families of Renaissance Italy. Alliances were not built on love, but on obligation. A marriage gift was not affection, it was investment. A favor was not generosity, it was control disguised as grace. The one who receives becomes indebted, even when he pretends otherwise. And the more he resists the debt, the deeper it binds him. Ask yourself, when someone gives you something valuable, do you not feel an unspoken pressure to repay it? That discomfort is the pulse of power. The giver has entered your mind, whispering silently, "You owe me." This is the essence of calculated reciprocity. You must learn to give in ways that cannot be easily repaid. A gesture so well-timed, so deliberate, that it lingers in the recipient's mind. He thanks you publicly, but privately he feels cornered. A ruler once said, "Do not give everything at once. Give in portions and let gratitude accumulate." Because a single act of generosity fades quickly, but a steady stream of subtle gifts creates a dependence that lasts forever. Think of your relationships now. Who depends on your approval? Who thrives because of your help? And who controls you through theirs? Most people serve without realizing they're being played. They give endlessly, believing it earns affection. But affection fades, debt endures. To give with intent, you must understand timing. A favor is not just about what you give, but when. Offer help when someone is vulnerable, and they will never forget you. Offer it when they are strong, and they will dismiss you. This is why opportunists always seem lucky. They strike when need and pride are at war. When the proud man accepts your help, his ego trembles. He will repay you not with gratitude, but with obedience disguised as loyalty. Yet beware, give too much and you create resentment. People hate the hand they depend on. They may praise you to your face while plotting your downfall behind it. Balance your generosity so that it binds, but does not suffocate. One subtle method is to ask small favors first. Reverse the order. Let others invest in you before you invest in them. When they serve you, they justify it to themselves as choice, not obligation. But soon, you will own a part of their pride. Benjamin Franklin once used this to disarm a rival. Instead of offering a gift, he asked the man to lend him a rare book. The rival agreed, and in doing so, convinced himself that he liked Franklin. He became more cooperative, not because of what he received, but because of what he gave. That is the reverse weapon of reciprocity, controlling others through the illusion of their own will. So remember, every exchange carries a current of power. Every favor is a thread in an unseen web. Pull one string, and 1,000 obligations tremble. You must never give randomly. Every gesture, every kind word, every act of assistance must move the game forward. Your generosity must always have a destination. Give strategically. Give selectively. Give with the precision of a surgeon and the foresight of a ruler. Because the world is not moved by kindness. It is moved by indebtedness disguised as kindness. And when you master that distinction, you no longer trade in emotion, you trade in control. Every kingdom has two kinds of people: the ones who move the pieces, and the ones who are the pieces. Most never realize which one they are until the game ends. You've been conditioned to obey the rules, to play fairly, to wait for permission. But those rules were not made to protect you. They were made to contain you. The powerful understand this. They write the laws of behavior, morality, and virtue, not to guide the masses, but to keep them predictable. To make them believe that obedience is goodness and ambition is sin. Tell me, how many opportunities have you lost because you waited for fairness? How many times have you swallowed your truth because you feared disapproval? That is what pawns do. They move only when told and celebrate survival as if it were victory. But survival is not power. Obedience is not wisdom. To transcend the pawn's existence, you must stop seeking permission and start playing deliberately. The path from pawn to player begins with perception. Pawns look at the board and see obstacles. Players look at the same board and see patterns. Where others see threat, they see timing. Where others see risk, they see opportunity. History honors those who broke their own conditioning. Caesar defied the Senate's commands and crossed the Rubicon. He understood that hesitation is death in politics. One decisive act can redefine your fate forever. So, ask yourself, whose permission are you still waiting for? Whose expectations have become your invisible prison? Every pawn lives inside one, the prison of approval. They crave recognition, validation, belonging. They seek safety, not sovereignty. But safety is the illusion the rulers sell to those too afraid to lead. To become a player, you must learn the art of invisible rebellion, not reckless defiance, but strategic disobedience. You do not announce your transformation, you embody it. You move silently, observing every weakness, every hunger, every fear around you. And then you begin to act with intention. Every word, every silence, every alliance becomes a move. You no longer react to the world, you design it. You will notice something strange when this happens. People begin to sense your change, even if they cannot name it. They will feel your confidence as threat. They will accuse you of arrogance, of coldness, of pride. But understand this, those accusations are confirmation. They mean you have stopped being predictable. The pawn who dares to think differently always appears dangerous to the ones who don't. Yet this transformation is not without cost. When you ascend from obedience to strategy, you will lose comfort. You will lose naive friendships built on sameness. You will lose the illusion that people want your success. But in return, you will gain control over yourself and over the game itself. You will learn that power is not seized in a single moment. It is accumulated quietly. Each decision that favors strategy over sentiment strengthens your position. Each time you resist the need to explain yourself, your silence sharpens authority. Each time you act while others hesitate, you gain ground they never reclaim. And eventually, the board shifts. Those who once directed you now look to you for direction. They ask your opinion. They follow your lead. Not because you demanded it, but because you mastered yourself. That is the essence of true power, to move others through the gravity of your own composure. Still, beware of one final trap. Some who rise from pawn to player become intoxicated by their own cunning. They forget that the game never ends. Every player is still a piece in someone else's design. Even kings fall when they stop evolving, so remain adaptable. Never believe the board is fixed. When others see stability, look for the cracks beneath it. When they celebrate victory, prepare for collapse. The true player is not addicted to winning. He is addicted to understanding. You may ask, when will I know I've crossed the line from pawn to player? You will know when approval no longer tempts you, when silence no longer scares you, when your every action carries purpose, not emotion. That is when the board begins to bend in your favor. That is when you stop moving within the game, and the game begins to move around you. So remember this, power is not given to the bold. It is taken by the aware. And the moment you master awareness, you no longer play by the rules. You create them. Power is not about force. It is about influence disguised as choice. The most dangerous control is the kind no one recognizes. When people act in your favor believing it was their idea. That is the essence of true strategy. Not domination, but direction. Not fear, but quiet obedience born from perception. You don't shout commands, you plant them in the minds of others. You don't demand loyalty, you engineer it through need, admiration, and illusion. Those who understand this rule from the shadows, while others chase the light and call it virtue. So ask yourself, are you still playing by the world's rules? Or are you ready to rewrite them? If this reflection cut deeper than comfort, then you are already awakening to the Machiavellian mind. Leave your thoughts below, subscribe for more lessons in strategy, psychology, and control, and share this with those who still believe power is kindness, so they can learn what power truly is.